probably bringing back Danger's feet here as soon as possible. I'm assuming he ended up still playing, and there is a chance that he's already close or at the boss fight. But on the other hand, there's actually a chance that this can be pretty close, depending on if Danger somehow pulls off a miracle during the boss rush. Specs still has to go through the ending of Bowser's Kingdom, and then additionally through the Now,
I'm not entirely sure how to change the screen here.
Yeah, it looks like we are getting something back on the screen. Probably getting slowly but surely fixed.
Yep.
But yeah, so the thing is, there's actually a pretty major strat still coming up on Super Mario Odyssey, which is the Moon Cave skip. And I did see SpecsNStats practice that trick earlier. I'm not sure how much practice he got in, because this is a very crucial trick. It's actually the biggest skip in the game that allows us to skip the kind of like the final, not the final, almost like the final challenge before the boss fight. Saves literally close to 5 minutes. And I'm not sure Specs is very confident in that strategy.
Isn't this the second to last world that Specs is going to have to deal with?
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to put it very close. I know Dangers was approaching the boss room.
Yeah, he might be close to or in it right now and starting his attempts, which, once again, it would be very surprising if he was able to just clean them up first try. Yeah, he did do a good job, though, what I want to say, keeping his weapons clean, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No durability, no excess durability loss and all that stuff. That'll be very useful for the boss rush.
Yeah, the durability is very, very calculated through that boss rush, and he didn't really use his weapons unnecessarily. So it's going to be a little bit of an advantage. But Specs now in this mid-section of Bowser's Kingdom, which is this boss... almost boss rush. It's only 2 very easy bosses. But the end boss here of Bowser's Kingdom is arguably the hardest boss in this run. It's not even close to anything like a Calamity, but it's still tricky. And at the other hand, Specs is on 1 HP here at Harriet. Getting hit here is definitely a possibility. Hopefully not getting hit by that bomb. Needs to make sure to not run into the AoE splash damage. Is getting the fast bomb hit here. 1 more hit on Harriet before he's able to clean up and end the fight. And looks like, I'm not sure if that's already live footage, but currently Danger's standing in front of the Sanctum.
Yes, does that mean he paused before the stream to come back up, or is he... I'm curious what's going on. Yes, it looks like he paused right in front of the Sanctum. He's going to rush in. Now, my friends, we get to see Dangers do arguably the hardest part of any percent.
By far. And I did see him practice that mostly yesterday. So if anything requires practice, it's this part. But it also needs a lot of practice. Like just learn it. We'll get to it. It's going to be obviously hard to cover everything. The main parts that are interesting here is that some of these attacks ignore the one-shot protection. So there's a couple attacks, especially the first one that Fireblight has, a couple of the one that Thunderblight has, that you need to be extremely careful about.
Oh, if he moves to the left here, he'll avoid the tornado. Nice. Oh, good movement right there. There's not a lot of experienced runners who actually understand they can dodge that tornado if they're a little late in doing the spin. That was absolutely excellent.
Ooh, on the other hand, Specs almost falling all the way down into the pits of hell, but is able to back this up. Gonna be going for the strat here for the second phase of Windblade. Not in the right position, so it's probably not going to be able to get that 1 cycle, but is at least going to stay safe.
He wasn't able to get under the arm of Windblight, and so you really need to be behind Windblight in order to get the 1 cycle for that. On the bright side, he can just clean it up with a few arrows.
Yeah. It is important, however, to, if you can, avoid extra arrow shots. Not necessarily only because of the arrows, but actually also because of the bow. The bow, the black bow here, the royal guard bow, actually has something called quick draw, so you get to shoot arrows a lot faster. And that is especially helpful at the start of Calamity when you have those bomb arrows to start chunking him.
Danger's having a really hard time picking up those that double hit spot. It's going to force him into a second cycle. Hopefully he understands where to stand. It does not look like he does. He is going to get... Oh, makes the cycle in time. Oh, man.
He got it in time. Very crucial.
Very crucial.
So he does have that extra minute on his attack potion. However, missing multiple of these 1 seconds is going to chip quite heavily on that attack durability, attack up durability. And specifically, Ganon, when things start going array there, and there is a fair amount of RNG there in that Ganon fight.
I noticed he pulled out the Tri-Lizzle Boomerang here. What that suggests to me is he's actually going for the newest version of the Blight strat, which is a little bit harder than the older versions in that it allows you to potentially get a 1 cycle on the second phase of Fire Blight, but Thunder Blight becomes increasingly harder if you miss the initial attack.
Yeah, for sure. And very important there to switch to the two-hand weapon. This is the weapon you immediately need at the start of Fire Blight. As you come up here, gonna be going for that spin attack, and this is the very scary attack. If you get hit by this one, you will get one shot. Ooh, not gonna be able to make him stunned. Might go for some headshots here. Is gonna take damage. Hopefully, yeah, definitely eat before the start of Thunderblight. So you had 3 health, once again, granting that one-shot protection. On the other screen, by the way, 2 major boss fights actually happening at the same time. Specs falling from the Mecha Rudel. This is a little less intense, but still, dying here loses a lot of time. Specs gonna be able to capture the poke here. The second phase of Thunderblight optimally is Fireblight optimally is pretty hard, but if you play it safe, this is actually probably the easiest phase of all blights. Since if you time your bomb explosion, he's just gonna be stunned for the entire phase pretty much.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, is that Fireblight, outside of the shield, doesn't actually really change attack patterns. So if you learn his first phase, you basically understand his second phase. That being said, one of his attacks just has a huge area of damage that's hard to avoid. It's the one Limcube was talking about in the first phase that he was thankfully able to avoid. It only has a small cone at his back, and if you get hit by it, there is no one-shot protection.
See, now this is what I was basically scared about. Is his strong bow already broke, and but actually Specs only at 1 HP. There is a backup part here. Thunderblade at the same time, so much happening at the...
That's not good. That's not good. He got the initial hit, which is great, but he did not successfully turn around for the double hits. He's going to be low on hits here, which means he's going to have to clean it up. I don't know if he's going to be able to enter second phase or if things are going to get out of control for him. There it is.
Gets his shield back.
Oh, and he breaks it. That's the important part. Oh my gosh.
He got that shield break. I'm really scared about Ganon. Once again, he's only on that Royal Guard bow. He's only on the Royal bow, which shoots very slowly and does a lot less damage. So going through that first phase is gonna be painful.
Honestly, I think he's going to be okay. There is an extra bow sitting around in Calamity Ganon. There's some extra arrows. He may not be able to shoot as fast, but I think the durability of the bow is going to last out. This is the part I'm worried about. Because he got a late... He had to basically do the second shield break. The pattern is not going to be what he expects.
Yeah,
he's not going to pull out the shield here, and now he's going to have to figure out exactly how to kill Thunderblight without letting it get out of control.
Does get him to the ground. If he gets some good spin attacks in here... He's
going to have to release on the 4th spin and break that shield. Oh, there it is! Perfect! Wow. He can clean it up. All right, wow.
That guy probably in a good position. That guy probably didn't sleep tonight. That looks like he just gained some massive knowledge on those shield patterns.
Absolutely, absolutely. This, on the other hand, is where everyone gets nervous. It doesn't matter your experience level.
This is a little bit of a different level. Is going to be able to get that Flurry Rush, though. First try. This is arguably the easiest attack to get a Flurry Rush off. The vertical swipe. Ooh, got hit by the body slam.
You gotta sprint away from that, man. You gotta sprint away.
Yeah, Calamity again. Definitely the hardest part of the run by far. The main idea here is stay away from him, spam headshots at him, and chunk down his health that way. Only go for flurry rushes or laser parries if you have to. Laser parries you want to avoid.
Is there a reason he left the extra shield? Because when it comes to trying to get those laser parries, every shield counts. The moment you lose your shield is the moment you can pretty much guarantee Calamity's going to kill you. Like, it's still possible to beat him in second phase, but it is not easy.
This attack is extremely hard to parry, but Calamity on the wall, this is the most scary part. Whenever Calamity is on the wall, you want to get him down there. 2 bomb arrows will do the job, but the attacks that Calamity has on the wall are just so much more scary to deal with. And he fell on him. Super unfortunate. Huge splash damage when Calamity again falls from the wall. And that's going to lose him up to 6 minutes. That's the problem with that boss rush.
I missed it. What happened? He died. I saw that he died.
He went to the wall and he knew to get him down with 2 bomb arrows, but he died to the splash, which is very, very big. It's a huge splash area.
Yes, it's one of those things you don't really think about. Oh, you need to get Calamity off the wall, but no, Calamity's gonna fall on you if he's too close.
Yeah. So, this is just the absolutely crucial, the absolutely horrifying part about this game. Like, even though this was a good attempt, to really get a chance to finish, I think it has to be better. This sounds rough. I'm not trying to flame Dangers. He did amazing in Blights that he even got through. But if he wants to finish all the way, I think it needs to be a little bit cleaner. He needs that extra bow durability. If he can get, he doesn't need it, but it would make it so much easier.
Yeah, honestly, I think the bow that he has, like the Royal Bow plus the bow, which I believe is the Royal Bow, in the Calamity room, should be enough for him to finish. But he's got to just stand back, do those headshots, don't do anything risky in Calamity. Specs, on the other hand, going for the skip, hopefully can get up here and move into the final boss. Nice. There it is.
Moon Cave skip is huge. This is what I was mentioning earlier. This saves 5 minutes of the any percent run because you get to skip that final challenge. Dangers is going to have to go through the Blights again.
So this is approximately a 6-minute loss because he died at Calamity. And that's going to be huge for Specs catching up and possibly even pulling out a win here.
Yeah, if Specs and Dangers both played perfectly, I think Specs would win off of that. But he did have some issues with Bowser and Cloud earlier. And even though, arguably, Bowser and Moon, which is actually the final boss, is easier, if you do die, you can lose lots of time. And after that section, the escape section starts playing, which has no autosave. So it's almost like a little Breath of the Wild simulator. No autosave, so wherever you die, you start at the beginning of the escape.
Single cycle Water Blight, very good on Danger's part.
On that first phase. Second phase also, while hard to play optimally, relatively safe. The thing is, playing Blights optimally is actually not... No, I mean, not dying to Blights is one of the first things you learn, other than playing them optimally. There's only so many really scary attacks in Blights. It's usually Thunder Blight that is scary, and like Water Blight is usually one of the safer ones. Fire Blight can one-shot you at the start, but also relatively safe. Usually, the thing I see people take damage to is either tornadoes in first phase Wind Blight, or something in Thunder Blight.
Yeah, and the scariest thing about Water Blight is actually not his attacks, but his positioning. When he goes over where the throne would be in this room, if you're not placed exactly right when you headshot him, Water Blight will fall on top of the throne, leaving you unable to attack him and forcing you into a third cycle. Doing a really good job of one-cycling Fire Blight here.
He got so close to getting hit by that first attack, but he just slammed down his weapon fast enough. I already saw Fire Blight's arm coming down, and this is one of the attacks that ignore one-shot protection. So very good job there to timing that.
Specs cleaning up first phase Bowser. Very nice.
From here on out, he's gonna have to capture him. This is basically the last section of the game. You have to capture Bowser and go all the way through this escape area. Once again, if you do die here, your autosave will be at the beginning of capturing Bowser. So if Specs takes the death, he's gonna be all the way back at the beginning.
I think at this point it's safe to say that Specs is in the lead.
Definitely.
So he would have to take a death in order for Dangers to have a chance at finishing this, because even though Calamity is the hardest part, there is still a whole nother fight that Dangers will have to go through before he can finish the game.
Which is kind of like an auto-scroller as well, and it's basically guaranteed to take around 3 minutes. Dangers did not manage to slam down his weapon fast enough, so Thunderblade is going to be loose, and this is super scary. He's going to be able to stay alive.
Gosh. Okay, so the strategy here that Dangers needs to do is he needs to dodge without parrying, or without entering that bull in time, and then throw his boomerang to break the shield. The moment Thunderblade's shield is broken, you can actually move into a repeatable pattern and control Thunderblade all the way to the end of the phase.
Specs though dying to these. I'm not sure if he actually went for to these skip. Is gonna be dying to it though, and this is a straight up minute that he loses.
Okay. Danger's able to get the shield break with the two-handed weapon, but Thunderblade gets away from him.
Oh, and this attack will kill him. This is a very huge AoE.
Oh.
Huge timeless again, and this is just Breath of the Wild any %. Where that will certainly
absolutely. Thunderblade's pretty darn easy if you can keep control of him, but the moment you lose control, like, you start panicking. Even the best runners start panicking.
People go into this with like this huge respect when they come from casual gameplay, because this is usually the boss everybody's like, oh god, Thunderblade, I hated him in my casual playthrough. Honestly, once you start learning him, he's pretty tricky, but he is actually super straightforward once you know these strats. Like, once again, if he gets loose, you can just intentionally backflip early to dodge him but not get that flurry rush, and then break his shield and start playing from there. However, obviously Dangers is not in that spot yet. He picked up that game as a speedrun like not really at all.
And what you said about Thunderblade is really true for all the Blights. Like, the strategies are very repeatable, the attack patterns are very predictable, and as soon as you're familiar with them and you understand the strategy, it's almost like autopilot going through the Blights, and then you have to start concentrating on Calamity, which is not repeatable, is not predictable.
Is like way different, because he's like super random movements, so many attacks. There's things like that he does that can kill runs that are actually completely random, like him going to the wall at the start of phase 2 immediately. So he's like on another level. But Specs is now in the pillar room. There is no autosave here, actually. If he does fall into one of these pits, he's going to start off once again at the beginning of the escape section. But all he needs to do now is break 2 more pillars before he makes his way to the central block. Close that down, captures the pylon, and then officially finishes the run. He just needs to go over these couple blocks. He's going to be able to make it safe to the spot. Just needs to claw this down, capture the pylon, and he should be done.
What is time for this?
Basically when you shoot out of this pylon, like you hold for like 5 seconds here, and then zip, there's like a blurry screen, and that's when it ends. So basically now.
All right, GG for SpecsNStats, finishing the race. Arguably a longer run, but definitely not as challenging boss fights as Breath of the Wild. The Dangers, man. Dangers almost had it. Dangers got all the way to Calamity on first try.
Yeah, that's super impressive. Like, just getting there. But it definitely showed that while I'm super impressed by his Blights gameplay already after like 1 day or maybe 1.5 days of practice,
absolutely,
especially like him reacting to the Thunderblade shenanigans, it definitely showed that in Calamity he felt maybe not as comfortable yet, and that is absolutely relatable because it's a whole another beast. That was still a great showing. Now, I'm sure we at least give Dangers, as he's still going through these boss fights.
Oh, you better drop it! Oh!
And that attack, this attack ignores the one-shot protection.
If you cannot start your spin fast enough, it's hard, but you gotta have the presence of mind to just drop the attack and run to the safe spot. And I encourage every new runner, you gotta learn where the safe spot is for that attack, because that's the most dangerous one. Every other attack of Fireblight, you can basically stand right next to Fireblight and he won't touch you. But that one, that'll one-shot you no matter your health.
Okay, Dangers, doing one more for the boys, he said in chat.
One more for the boys, let's go.
Immediately afterwards again, so I think there's a chance that he gets lasered by Windblight here and immediately reloads. Just kind of predicting the future, but we'll see.
I'd like to change the audio to Dangers, but it doesn't look like it's gonna let me, unfortunately.
I think we might have actually Specs already joining. Okay, he just muted himself. Well, I was going to say maybe he's going to give us some post-game thoughts. But I think it's fair to now focus on Danger's last attempt here.
Absolutely.
He said he was going to try one more time. So let's look at this.
All right, we got the audio switch. Thank you, whoever did that.
All right, and here we go. Last attempt. Starting off with Windblight.
He's got the Windblight first plays pretty much down. I don't think I've seen any major mistakes at this part.
Yeah, I was also super impressed in that first attempt. That slight movement to the left there that allows you to dodge those tornadoes, which are not random. I mean, he throws it out after some time, but if the spot where he spawns is random, so the closer you are, the less likely you are to kill him before the tornadoes happen. They will happen here, but they just is moving to the left again. Very smart.
Absolutely. I remember in the old days, the strategy was you didn't climb the wall, you went up to Windblight, and then you'd start the spin attack, and you'd have to basically like orbit Windblight to avoid getting hit by the tornado. It's interesting how it's just evolved since then.
Yeah, that sounds painful. It's gonna hopefully get him down here. 3 headshots will do the job. And from here on, it's just a little bit of a step fest. I think he might be able to get enough hits in before the...
No. Okay, so have to be from the back. Absolutely have to be from the back for that. Although he got it. Okay, yeah, you're right. The extra arrow shots actually allowed him to get that one cycle.
Yeah, he missed a couple hits from the step, but one of them found their mark, and he got it before the wind glide.
Very nice double hit setup right here.
Might be able to get another 1 second. It's gonna be tight. I think he might need 1 extra hit. Oh,
no, he's got it. He's got it. Nope. He did a strategy that I'm not sure how many people like consciously think of, but if he had targeted Water Blight while he was down after the spin attack, he would have been facing Water Blight's head, so that when Water Blight got up, his attacks would have missed. But he consciously didn't target Water Blight, turned his body towards the center of Water Blight, and then was able to get all the hits in before he moved away.
I was specifically surprised by the jump attack, because that's something I was covering in my tutorial about this. If you get that jump attack, you actually get 2 hits in the time of 1, because you get the jump hit and the slam hit. That was kind of pretty nice.
It's a very fast and finisher to get extra hits in right before maybe the cycle ends for that blight. That's dodging it. That was not a bad idea. Better to go cautious than to take the extra hit.
Definitely. Our Water Blight is dealt with, and we are going to start with Fire Blight again. Once again, this first 5 seconds, the first 5 seconds of this Blight are literally the scariest part. If you get through these, like literally this, the fight already turns pretty chill.
You should have it. Oh, no, wasn't able to get the hit down quick enough, and so...
He might still be able to kill him before he gets up fully.
Nope,
oh, no.
Nope. One of the things Danger could have done, and I realize it's kind of hindsight, but if he had thrown a bomb and exploded it while Fireblight was stunned, it would have knocked him to the ground, accomplishing what he was looking for.
Yeah, 2 headshots will do the same. Like, if he's in that pose and you get another headshot on him, he will collapse to the ground. But this is obviously so much niche knowledge that you acquire after like hundreds and hundreds of Blight's playthroughs.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild is not a game where you can just learn like one strategy and you're good to go. No, it's much better if you learn like alternative strategies that you can use when things go wrong, because in here something always goes wrong.
I actually got an early get up there on Fireblight, which is one of the things that even I don't still fully understand. Sometimes Fireblight just gets up early.
My current guess is that it's kind of like a preload thing, where if you fought the Blights and you've died, the Blights have been preloaded, so they're not waiting as long to get up.
Right, then just is gonna get
good Thunderblight setup. Yes.
Oh, he got the slam.
Did he get double hits though?
Yeah, I think so. I heard them. Not sure if he got that slam. Yeah. No, not perfect.
He doesn't need to be perfect. He just needs to finish it up here. Yep, there we go.
So this is what I'm actually personally curious about. Since he was about to replenish his shield and go back up into the sky,
he should still have the pattern.
Okay.
It's not until he actually replenishes his shield that the pattern changes.
Okay, I see.
So what we're gonna see is he's gonna break the shield, headshot Thunderblight down, and then attack him 4 times with the boomerang, and on the 4th time it's going to break his shield. And that's the pattern we're talking about. Sometimes he doesn't bring out his shield like he didn't on the very first try. But now he can just switch to a double-hand weapon, do some double hits, and finish up Thunderblight relatively easy, assuming Thunderblight doesn't get away.
Very, very nice. Now, back to Calamity. The strength elixir here is actually quite full. I think he has around 4 minutes. I'm not sure
4 minutes, yeah, that should be plenty.
That is plenty, even if you have to go for some extra Flurry Rush. He also still has a lot of food. It's all about if he's going to be able to get these very good Flurry Rush, these Flurry Rushes, and these headshots. Oh, early break. He needs to run away from him again. Nice. Goes for the sprint button last second, so he did not get hit by that body slam this time.
In general, you don't need any melee weapons that you've had previously. This royal sword that you pick up right here should be sufficient to last the rest of Calamity, except for the stun lock, of course.
Right, so Dangers is pretty close to him. He's not targeting Calamity here, which is something that he may have not really experienced yet. Targeting Calamity here with the left trigger is a huge help to actually be able to get those headshots in.
It gets the headshots in, it helps you maneuver around Calamity as he strafes left and right. I think his bomb arrow count is actually pretty... Actually, no, I take that back. His bomb arrow count is not very high.
I don't think he got any before he entered the fight, which can be an issue. I'm not sure if he has the insight to save 2 bomb barrels here. This is once again another niche strat.
I know, personally, I like to save 4 bomb arrows in case Calamity goes to the wall twice, which is actually pretty average.
Good headshots.
Getting some good headshots there, that's very nice. Taking it safe, letting go of the lock, and just sprinting away from the laser. One of the interesting things, another niche knowledge thing, is if you just strafe, don't crouch, but if you just strafe while shooting him and Calamity's targeting you with the laser, you should be able to sidestep the laser without any issue.
Now this is the problem here. Calamity is on the wall and Dangers does not have bomb arrows anymore. He can get him down if he gets normal headshots in, but it's really tough. And that text Calamity is on the wall is oof.
3 elemental arrows will also get him down. But if he gets besieged with certain attacks,
this attack he has to parry. He's gonna take the load of damage from this. Oh, he barely dodged that AoE.
Yeah. You can run away from it, but you got to be like running from the beginning.
It's a huge area of effect, yeah. And I'm getting a little bit scared about that attack durability here. Even though 4 minutes is a lot, he is taking his time, and you want at least a minute on that second phase for that stun lock.
Absolutely. And that's optimum stun lock too. That's, you get the laser on the first or second attack, and then you're stun locking the rest of the time. There's a good chance Dangers is going to run out of the potion. That does not spell the end for the fight, though. He can manage that.
It is possible, but for that he would need to be aware of how the second phase works. It's going to get some hits in here. I actually don't know the visual cue for English text, and as far as when that first phase, and usually for the other languages I have like a visual cue on the letter. Oh, he's going to the wall again. This is scary.
My guess, and you're right, I don't really have a visual cue either, but my guess it's going to be around the T or the Y mark. So he's pretty close. If you can get 3 elementals in without getting hit, you can pull Calamity off, but sometimes it's just safer to whistle sprint your way around the environment until it comes down naturally.
Yeah, so far he is getting decent luck. Though it's not the scariest attack that he has on the wall. Is easily that wind tunnel. That does so much damage, and it's pretty hard to dodge.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh. Thankfully, I.
This is never see it.
Run away! Run away!
He dodged it. Okay.
All right, there's the third hit.
No.
Oh, freaking A! He just barely had enough hearts. All right.
He that must have still been one-shot protection, honestly. I probably did more damage than it actually did there. It's crazy how much that like splash does.
Yeah, I'm terrified right now. All right, second phase. What we're looking for here is a parry to the laser specifically to knock Calamity down, and then set up a stun lock. Now the stun lock is relatively wide in terms of its window. That being said, any lapse in concentration can mess up the stun lock. He has to stay absolutely focused. He cannot check out here.
He didn't get it.
But he didn't even... didn't set up the stun lock.
Okay, so the problem here is his potion is empty. I don't know if he has enough damage.
I think he does.
Weapons.
He grabbed a few extra weapons around the arena. I wouldn't worry too much about the potion. My main concern would be setting up the stun lock, because the less you have to parry...
the slam, yeah.
Calamity. The less you have to parry Calamity, the safer it is, but nope.
Yeah, very surprised, very positively surprised. So getting to the second phase is pretty good.
It's really awesome. It's absolutely fantastic. It
definitely is. This is the make or break point for the run, the second phase, because even though you get far, this is basically where you pay for your mistakes. Because this is where it really matters that you have enough, like if you want to play optimal, if you have enough attack durability, if you really learned that stun lock properly, like if you don't run out of stamina. But nonetheless, that is a good showing here. Got pretty far.
And it was pretty close near the end. I mean, Dangers could have pulled it out if he had managed to get through Calamity on that first try. Like, he got all the way to Calamity on first try.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so I see SpecsNStats here, looking for some questions to be asked. How are you feeling about your run, Specs?
You know.
Well, you managed to pull out the win. That's pretty darn good.
Also sub 130.
Yeah. I was hoping I would at least get a sub 130. I got really close when I was doing my 3 hours of practice. And then I died in the exact same spot that I died this time, and it was in the 2D section of Hauser.
That's a classic. But you got that route down pretty nicely. Like at least remembering all of the nice, the right moons. Obviously, there's some bonks here and there, but just being able to learn that route quickly, knowing what moons to grab, and also having solid, like decent movement overall, definitely helped you to achieve at least that goal. And I think it was a breeze mostly.
All right, so we also have Dangers who came in. GG Dangers on the try. The boss rush is nothing to sniff at, and you got to Calamity on your very first try in the race. That was excellent. You almost were able to pull it off there. How are you feeling, despite not being able to finish Calamity?
It was certainly an interesting run. I was actually quite disappointed in a lot of the movement and stuff leading up to that. There was like the slab launch when I was practicing it yesterday. It was working perfectly fine, first try every single time, and then I don't know, getting into the run today, it took me like 15 minutes. It was very strange, but the actual, the fights themselves, the blights, they went down pretty easy. But yeah, I guess it was just a little bit too late on the practice to be able to get in Calamity again, and I didn't even finish the game in my practice, so I think that was honestly that second fight, that was probably the farthest I've gotten so far. So, pretty decent showing. And, definitely a very cool thing to do. Thanks to SpecsNStats for setting something up like this, because, when you're at the top of your game, it can be very hard to remember what it was like to kind of pick it up from the bottom again. So it was a neat little challenge. And I don't think I'm going to put Breath of the Wild down. I think I'm going to probably try and figure out how to get to the end of the game and speedrun this game. If not on stream, just for my own doing, for sure, because it's been a lot of fun.
Well, we would love to have you, and anybody else who's interested in Breath of the Wild, and I'm sure Lim can vouch for Odyssey as well. New runners are always welcome, and we're very happy to help out anyone who wants to pick up the game.
I will say this. One of the things that I did notice about learning how to speedrun Super Mario Odyssey is that it is extremely beginner friendly, and the community has done a very good job in laying out all of the safety moons, the safety routes, safety strats that you can do starting out, and then kind of like slowly adopting the more difficult strats as you want to. So it's really, really fun. It was fun learning. I really enjoyed it.
Do you think you're going to put it down, Specs? I know you're huge into the Hundo Zelda realm, but you're getting a little taste of a different series. How do you feel? You think you want to keep going?
Honestly, I don't think I will. Between doing 100% and being a dad and a husband, it's hard to pick up other things or play things casually that I want to. I've got a long list, and this is somewhere in the middle of it, so I'm not sure.
Well, that's fair and commendable, and you did a great job learning this game. Dangers, you did a fantastic job of learning Breath of the Wild. I am super impressed.
I'm not gonna lie, when I glanced over at the screens as I was doing Ganon's castle. I looked over and I saw Dangers was doing the blights, and I'm just like,
Ganon's
I've lost.
castle.
Or Ganon's castle, Bowser's Kingdom.
Yeah, Bowser's Kingdom. I was like, wait, did he make it over there as well?
An interesting new DLC for Super Mario Odyssey.
No, I was doing Bowser's Kingdom, and I looked over and I saw he was doing the blights, and I'm just like, I've lost. I've absolutely lost. And then I saw him be able to beat the blights first time around, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. There's no way I'm beating this in time for him to just do Ganon. Like, honestly, if he were to have gotten that Ganon fight down, there's no way I would have won.
Yep, and you know what? It was a little bit too little too late.
Any percent, and you don't have a great eagle bow and 60 bomb arrows and all of the outfits in the world.
Yeah, the one thing that honestly probably would have pushed me over the edge is this kind of talk I've been hearing the last probably day that the second phase Ganon fight has, where you basically just like stun lock him for a while. I was not able to pick up that strat within my practice, and that was the reason I think that I wasn't able to get as far as I needed to. But
that's interesting. I fully expected you to know the stun lock, and to be fair, if you want to look at this further, stun lock has one of the widest windows of success out of many of the tricks that are required for any percent. It's more of a concentration game that you don't relax and run out of stamina, or you fail to manage your durability as you're doing the stun lock. So,
right, it really is in my best interest.
You could definitely get it.
Yeah, it's in my best interest to try and beat the game for sure, because I actually haven't yet. Speaking of which, not even my casual playthrough. So, if I could learn how to do that, beat the game, I'd be very satisfied for sure.
Hell yeah. Interested to see, obviously, those journeys commencing. Guys, thank you very much for putting on that show. It was a lot of fun to, and very interesting perspective as well to see how these games like look next to each other.
Absolutely.
But I think that is going to be it from us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much also for Specs for putting this up. And guys, obviously, also thank you for watching. Make sure to follow everybody involved as they go on their respective speed gaming journeys. And see you guys around.
Thank you very much, guys.
See you.